Hey guys, Rise here, and I'm back to bring you another entire set of Pro League commentaries. This is going to be SKT versus KT Rolster, and I gotta be honest here. I am so excited for this set. I've been thinking about it for the past 3 or 4 days. Well, I guess it's only been 2 days, but 2 or 3 days in anticipation of doing this set. Like, I had wanted to do it right after I downloaded it, but I had just lost my voice after doing an entire set of something else, CJ versus MBC. So, finally, I can start doing this one, and it's going to be a very fun one because every single match is a big name match. Let's start off looking at the lineup real quick before anything really goes on in this set. We got Fantasy versus HoeJJa on Match Point. We got Bisu versus Luxury on Outsider. We got Best versus Flash on Fighting Spirit. And we got Hyuk versus Violet on Heartbreak Ridge. Now, this is the first four. If there's an ace match, I don't know who's going to be playing, but it's going to be on Moonglaive. That's all I know about it. So none of these matches have been spoiled for me yet. I almost got spoiled as I started watching Day 9 yesterday. And I'm like, oh, let's see what's on because it's like 12 a.m. and I don't feel like doing anything. So I start watching it, and the first game is Fantasy vs. HoeJJa. I'm like, oh, no, I can't watch him tonight. Damn it. So anyway, looks like I'll be a day behind him in that. But, a day behind him, get it? So we got. Well, I should mention about this game, I guess. This is obviously a TVZ. We got Fantasy in the bottom left, the Terran player in orange. And we got HoeJJa, or HoeJJa, and the Zerg player at the top right in green. And they're playing on Match Point, and if you haven't seen the map before, again, I'll bring it up real quick right now since there's nothing going on in the game. HoeJJa looks to be going for a 12 hatch, and we're seeing a very standard 1 racks, probably into expansion for Fantasy. So anyway, here's the map, and if you look at it again, there's the main, and then right outside up top is a natural. There's a ramp to it, as well as the side is kind of open. And the bottom right is your is not really a second natural after all. You're more likely to take the one above it or all the way up top, which is on a higher ramp. And you'll see there's 2 higher ramps in the middle. Then there's a lower ground right below that, and then there's even lower ground. So there's an aspect of Blue Storm to it, but the layout is completely different if you look at the patterns and where the lower levels are. So, anyway, let's go back to the match. Seems to be some action already. Scouting drone trying to get in, but Fantasy able to wall off just in time, so that scouting drone will not get in. We're seeing a pool go down, as well as 3 drones going on to gas. So, it looks like he's going to go for... he could go for a 2-hatch build, although I'm much more likely expecting to see a 3-hatch build right now. I don't know why, actually. In the meantime, we're seeing a very early academy, so I'm guessing we're going to see some early pressure here. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've been watching a lot of stream matches on TL, and there's things like Nongmin Zerg. That guy is crazy. He's an A Zerg player. I would love to see him keep playing in A. Every time he gets to A, he stops. I would love to see him play to see if he can get to A+. But either way, he's awesome. He's just under he's probably even with B Team Koreans, I would imagine. I could be wrong in saying that. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my guess as an A player, because there's really not that many A players. So anyway, he's a Zerg, and I love watching him play on this map. Actually, I watched Rhett play on this map too, and there's some interesting strategies that you can do on this map. I think Rhett did it more than anyone else, actually. He did some lurker pushes from the side of the natural expansion that you can do against Terran that can be very, very hard to defend, depending on the build of the Terran. And that's why I'm very interested to see what a pro like Fantasy goes on this map. And I know the statistics for TVZ are not in HoeJJa's favor right now. It's like 2-0 Terran. Of course, it's only 2 games, so it doesn't mean all that much. But I am expecting Fantasy to have a little bit of an edge on that. Player statistics real quick. Well, again, we're waiting for much action to happen. Fantasy's been doing okay. He's been doing pretty well. In his last 6 matches, he's 4 for 6. But his last 10 matches against Protoss, he's 4 for 10. Of course, his last 2 matches that he won against Protoss was against Free and Much. So and those were in a row. So consecutively, he's won 2 going into this match. Why am I talking about Protoss? He's playing a Zerg. I don't know what that was wrong with me. I'm sorry. He's 1 for 2 against Zerg. I told you, I just woke up, literally. Did I tell you that? I just woke up. I said it on my Twitter, so to say I was doing commentary. So I'm a little out of it. I'm drinking some coffee though, so I expect to get progressively better as we continue on. Anyway, we're going to see some early Firebat medic pressure from Fantasy. Very interesting play here. Just 2 Firebats and a medic. There's 2 Sunkens down though, so it's not like he can move in at all. I'm not entirely sure why he made that play. Maybe he did that just to put enough, literally just to put just barely enough pressure to force the Sunkens, while obviously he's got the Medic and Marines back at his base to protect against any run-by that might happen. Now, this is something interesting I've been seeing against this, seeing on this map is the multiple areas in which you can leave your base can make it very difficult for the opponent or yourself to know when your opponent is leaving and pushing on you. And actually, Rhett fell prey to that in a match I watched him do yesterday because he just couldn't see. His Overlord was just out of range. You could just barely see his Marines blipping on and off as they turned a corner going towards his base. And literally, they got to his base, and he had no idea that they were coming because just Overlord placement. So that's something to be very conscious of as a Zerg and as a Terran. Because of that, you watch Terrans really sit in their base a lot. And then they push out with really large forces, as well as having a backup force, almost always having a bunker. So HoeJJa at this point is going for a small Mutalisk attack. I didn't really pay attention to see whether or not he stayed on 2-hatch or 3-hatch, but with the amount of mutas he has, it actually looks like he stayed on 2-hatch. But it looks like Fantasy is going to have turrets up in time, as well as a decent Medic Marine force. Excuse me, I need some coffee. It's Dunkin' Donuts Dark Roast. It's quite good actually. I've started to become much more of a coffee drinker as I get older. I think it's natural, but it's mostly because when I was at work, I used to have coffee every morning just to have something to do to walk away from my desk. Anyway, Muta harassed using the Blue Storm-esque ridge over the natural. That does definitely remind me of Blue Storm, to be honest, as well as the main base layout in the lower left. It's very similar in that respect, with the exception of where the entrance and exit for troops are. Now, HoeJJa getting a couple of SCVs, but he is not committed to this attack. You can see it in his play. He literally went in, poked his head in. He does have 3 hatches, by the way. And really, he's not doing much in the way of forcing a harassment. A lot of times you'll see Zerg players like a Jadong, and he's so confident in his harassment. He doesn't care if there's a whole bunch of turrets. He's going to go for it, and he's just going to harass the crap out of you. Now, at this point, HoeJJa is trying to whittle down that force of Medic Marines. Now, a lot of Zergs, you see, put out some early links to try to take that force down earlier, so by the time the Muta come out, they don't have to deal with quite as many Marines. But HoeJJa didn't do that, so he's got 2 choices. He can go for the economic harassment, which is fairly well defended. And, oh, nice pincer coming from Fantasy. Or he can go for whittling down the troops. Now, the whittling down the troops, in my opinion, is a lot more troublesome. I mean, you're going to lose Muta doing it. A lot more than you might lose against economic harassment. But that aside, it definitely works, because obviously if you can take out enough with misplacement and double starport, so we are going to see SK1 coming from Fantasy as usual. Meaning this is what I've been seeing played by Terran mostly on this map. Anyway, I forgot what I was going on before, but I'm looking at the placement, the rallying of HoeJJa's troops right now. They're up to the higher ridge. And the reason he does that is for 2 reasons. One, it's a higher ridge, so he has a benefit in attacking units that are trying to come up the ridge, as well as he defends that bottom right expansion that he just put up. And that by doing that, he secures the next expansion after that right to his right as well. But the problem in doing that is there's a ramp upper, well, not upper, closer to his main than that upper ramp, that double upper ramp, double ramp. I don't know what you'd call it, wherever those lurkers just came from, right? And so he's got to be very weary of that, which if Fantasy decides, he could push there instead, and basically he circumvents that entire ramp. But if HoeJJa's aware of that, he can do a nice pincer attack on the Medic Marines when they go through. And we're not seeing Science Vessels. This is not SK1. This is a double Wraith build. What the hell is Fantasy doing? This is a very interesting build that we have not seen much of if ever. And you know, this is actually cool because this is definitely play that is very unorthodox. And while it's expected that he's going SK Terran at this point because